Here we are sharing another book that was borrowed from the Ann Arbor District Library, an I Can Read book, which you can find and order in most bookstores and at icanread.com. And they make great books for beginning readers and parents teaching their children to read. This book is called My Parents Think I'm Sleeping. Poems are by Jack Prelutsky, children's poet laureate. Pictures by Yossi Albolafia. And this book is really wonderful, especially pertaining to the subject of trying to get children ready for bed. This is a level 3 book. I Can Read. I always mention that the levels are kind of silly because some of the books that are at level 1 are my first reading books have a lot of quotations which become difficult for children to understand often. And the level 3 book here you'll see has a lot of rhymes which kids get very intuitively. But the publishing house themselves recommend that you read these books back and forth and continue reading them and mixing the levels up. Because often a child's interest will have something to do with how quick they'll learn. Don't judge your child for having a troubled time with a first level reading book, and then later on you'll find that maybe 2 or 3 days later they're already reading a level 3 book. No worries when teaching children. Again, this is My Parents Think I'm Sleeping. The poems are by Jack Prelutsky, and the pictures are by Yossi Albolafia from the HarperCollins Publishers. Great illustration. My parents think I'm sleeping. My parents think I'm sleeping, but I'm positively not. For beneath my pile of covers, I am doing quite a lot. I am reading poems and stories. I have got my flashlight lit. I am playing with the pieces of my model rocket kit. It was quiet as my shadow till the moment they were gone. Then I dove beneath the covers and I snapped my flashlight on. So my parents think I'm sleeping, but that's simply their mistake. I've got them fooled completely. I am really wide awake. Tonight is impossibly noisy. Tonight is impossibly noisy. It's filled with a horrible sound, as if dozens of ogres and tigers are stuck on a merry-go-round. It sounds like a monkey battalion is dancing on needles and pins, or an out-of-tune elephant orchestra is sawing on steel violins. Tonight is impossibly noisy. The air's full of screeches and roars. It sounds as if pigs are stampeding, pursued by enraged dinosaurs. It sounds like a poltergeist army is holding a midnight parade. But it's only the alley cat chorus in a brassy backyard serenade. The clouds I watched this afternoon. The clouds I watched this afternoon were flocks of silent sheep, but now they've turned to smoky wolves that watch me while I sleep. All night they prowl before the moon, till morning when I rise. Then once again white fleecy sheep will float across the skies. Night is here. Night is here, and night is there, and night is all around. I feel its presence everywhere, and yet it makes no sound. And so it's time to close my eyes and dream the night away until the sun lights up the skies and welcomes back the day. A spooky sort of shadow. I find the cadence of this poem a little hard to read, but I'll try to get it right this time. There's a spooky sort of shadow dancing weirdly on the wall. It's a creature that I've seen before. It's creepy and it's eerie and positively tall. That it stretches from the ceiling to the floor. Now, I've got to reread that again because I always mess up the cadence. That's okay because children reading along this practice is good. A spooky sort of shadow. There's a spooky sort of shadow dancing weirdly on the wall. It's a creature that I've never seen before. It's creepy and it's eerie and it's positively tall that it stretches from the ceiling to the floor. Its mouth is full of needles and it has a giant eye and it's moving in a hungry sort of way. It surely could destroy me if it only cared to try. So I hope it's had enough to eat today. That shadow makes me nervous. I don't dare to close my eyes. I'm afraid I may be eaten, head and all. If I fall asleep tonight, I'll be taken by surprise by that shadow dancing on my bedroom wall. What happens to the colors? What happens to the colors when night replaces day? What turns the wrens to ravens, the trees to shades of gray? Who paints away the garden when the sky's a sea of ink? Who robs the sleeping flowers of their purple and their pink? What makes the midnight clover quiver black upon the lawn? What happens to the colors? What brings them back at dawn? I have been in bed for hours. I have been in bed for hours, but I'm sure I'm wide awake, for my head is filled with visions of a forest by a lake. I hear frogs and crickets calling. I'm aware of fireflies. I can see the moon reflected in an owl's unblinking eyes. I tiptoe very softly past a hive of drowsy bees. High above, a cloud meanders. Tiny stars shine through the trees. I sit beside the water as a silent swan glides by. I climb a breezy hilltop where I almost touch the sky. I watch the fishes splashing in a clear and crystal stream. It's a very lovely forest, far too real to be a dream. Chocolate cake. I am lying in the darkness with a smile upon my face as I'm thinking of my stomach, which has got an empty space. And the corner of the kitchen with the piece of chocolate cake I've got to get my hands on for my empty stomach's sake. When my parents both are sleeping, I can tell by father's snore. I will sneak out of my bedroom. I will tiptoe past their door. I will slip into the kitchen without any noise or light. And if I'm really careful, I will have that cake tonight. Rain. I was having trouble sleeping when I heard the pleasant sound of raindrops softly falling on the rooftop and the ground. I hurried to the window just to watch them as they fell. They filled the night with sparkles and a fresh and lovely smell. I started feeling sleepy, so I climbed back into bed and fell asleep while listening to the raindrops overhead. It is so still. It is so still tonight. There is no sound at all. No tapping on a window pane, no footsteps in the hall. No barking dog or screeching cat, no mouse beneath my bed. No rustle of a windy leaf, no raindrops overhead. I lie beneath my covers with my pillow to my ear, and my breathing and my heartbeat are the only sounds I hear. If it was sunlight shining. If it was sunlight shining, I'd know that it was day. I'd gobble down my breakfast, then hurry out to play. If it was sunlight shining, I would not be indoors. I'd race around the garden. I'd fill the air with roars. If it was sunlight shining, I'd be a chimpanzee. I'd run, I'd jump, I'd tumble, I'd clamber up a tree. But it is moonlight shining. My eyes are getting red. My head is full of cobwebs, and I am off to bed. When I'm very nearly sleeping. When I'm very nearly sleeping, in the middle of the night, and I hear the furtive creeping of a thing that likes to bite, you may be completely certain that I haven't any fear, though when it is on the curtain, how I wish it were not here. When I sense the creature perching on my pillow underneath, and suspect that it is searching for a spot to sink its teeth, when I'm sure I feel it flitting but an inch above my head, I am glad a lamp is sitting on the table by my bed. A million candles. A million candles fill the night. They glister in the dark. And though by day they hide their glow, now each displays its spark. Amidst them all, there is one light that has a special shine, and that's the one whose name I know. I think that it knows mine. I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, I'm awake. I cannot shut my eyes. I'm unable to sleep, though I've made many tries. I'm sure I've explored every inch of my bed. My body's exhausted, and so is my head. I wiggle, I fidget, I tumble, I twist. I pound my poor pillow with fist after fist. I stopped counting sheep when I reached 93. I'm awake, I'm awake. I cannot fall asleep. My Parents Think I'm Sleeping by Jack Prelutsky and pictures by Yossi Abolafia.